Hey, what's going on everybody? Commander Crane here, and we are back with another Pioneer deck tech, and today we're going to be talking about Garruk Aggro in Pioneer. I'm very excited to bring this very spicy list to you. As always, at the end of the video, let me know in the comment section, what do you think about the deck? Is there a card that I definitely should have included? And if you were going to build your own Garruk themed deck, what would that look like? I know there's a lot of different ways that you could build one that's very, very flavorful, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but just let me know in the comment section below, what does your deck look like? So Garruk Aggro. So the story behind this, Gary Davies, huge shout out to them. They're one of the subscribers here on the channel, and they suggested, hey, why don't you do a Garruk deck? And you know, I was like, man, I've never done something like that before. I don't even know where I'd start. So obviously, you know, there's not a lot of Garruk Planeswalkers for the most part in Pioneer. I mean, there's a decent amount, but a lot of the really, really good ones are unfortunately not actually in Pioneer, kind of like Garruk Primal Hunter and then Garruk Relentless. I think that's the Innistrad one. Unfortunately, they're not in Pioneer. So I went through a couple different drafts, the entire deck did. I almost went like Golgari with it. Spoiler alert, I ended up just going mono green with it. And this is the deck that I ultimately came up with. And there's also kind of a secret hidden theme. We'll see if you can figure it out as time goes on here. We'll, you know, once we're kind of at the end of it here, obviously I'll spoil what it is. But before we get to that point, see if you can find the hidden theme within this deck. It's fairly obvious, but then, yeah. And anyways, all right, let's go and hop into here. So let's start with the Garricks. What Garricks are we actually playing in this deck? And I know it seems weird to say, oh, it's a Garruk aggro deck. You're only playing 6 Garricks, but it will make sense in a second. So we're playing 4 copies of Garruk Unleashed and 2 copies of Garruk Caller of Beasts. I really, really like both of these Planeswalkers. Garruk Unleashed is sweet, being able to pump our creatures. -2, it's able to protect itself. And then the emblem is essentially like you kind of win the game for the most part, assuming you're ahead. And Garruk Caller Beast is kind of about the same thing. Well, the +1 is just a huge card advantage engine. -3, we can cheat in a creature, which is pretty sweet. And spoiler alert, we're not going to be taking huge advantage of that. We're not going to be cheating at a World Spine Worm or anything like that. That's more of just a value option. And then the -7 is essentially very similar to Garruk Unleashed in the sense that, like, we pretty much just win the game at that point. So these are the Garricks that we're playing. Let's go ahead and hop into the creatures. So starting off, we're playing 4 Arboreal Grazer, 4 Armored Scrapgorger, and 4 Lovestruck Beast as our main early drop. So obviously Arboreal Grazer able to ramp us. Armored Scrapgorger is also ramping us, but it's just a solid card. When this card first came out with Phyrexian All Will Be One, I wasn't super high on it, but I really do like this card now. Having a option for main board graveyard hate, and then eventually gets a little bit bigger when it gets the oil counters. It's a 3/3 that'll tap for mana. This card's just sweet. Lovestruck Beast is pretty self-explanatory. Card is a very, very good card in the format as a whole. Makes the human, and then it's a 5/5. Can't attack unless you control 1/1 creature, but guess what? We have the Heart's Desire to make 1/1, so not going to be too hard to be able to make it attack. So definitely a huge fan of Lovestruck Beast. So let's go and hop into the next slide here. So this is, again, I feel like I say this almost every video on a specific slide, but this is the core of the deck right here. 4 Garruk's Harbinger. We have to play Garruk's Harbinger. It's a Garruk deck. When it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, look at that many cards from the top of your library. You may reveal a creature card or Garruk planeswalker from among them and put it into your hand. Huge fan of Garruk's Harbinger. I think this might secretly be the best card in the deck. The Hexproof from Black is huge right now in the metagame, because obviously it doesn't die to Fatal Push or Go for the Throat. 2 of the most played creature removal spells in the entire format. So definitely a huge fan of Garruk's Harbinger. We're also playing 4 copies of Axebane Feryx and 2 of Questing Beast. They're very, very similar cards. Questing Beast is a little bit better, but it's legendary, so we're playing only 2 copies of that. Death Touch and Haste with Ward Collect Evidence 4, so they have to collect Evidence 4. Otherwise, it's countered their spell they use to target it. And Questing Beast is just really, really good. They also, actually all 3 of these cards work really, really well with Garruk Unleashed being able to get Trample, because obviously Garruk's Harbinger, you're able to dig even deeper, and Axebane Feryx and Questing Beast have Death Touch, so Death Touch and Trample can do some really, really silly things. So definitely a huge fan of all the cards in this slide here for sure. So the last slide we have to talk about, though, for the main board, we're playing 4 Elder Gargaroth. I really, really like this card. It doesn't see it really doesn't see any Pioneer play for the most part, but this card still holds a $15 US price tag just because it is a good card. I wouldn't be surprised if someday it does kind of return to the metagame. This card's sweet though, 6/6 for 5, Vigilance, Reach, Trample. When it attacks or blocks, make a 3/3 beast, gain 3 life, or draw a card. I love Elder Garruk. The card is absolutely sweet. And as our main source of creature removal, we are playing 4 hard-hitting Question. I really like this card for Murders of Karlov Manor. It's a 1 mana bite effect that hits creatures or planeswalkers. So I really like this card. I think it's sweet. So that takes us to the end of the main deck here. But for the few of you that might not have figured it out, the hidden theme of the deck is actually beasts, because Garruk, Caller of Beasts, Garricks, a lot of its cards, actually even most of its cards, make beasts. So I wanted to do a beast themed deck as well with Garruk. And bonus points if you figured out the beast part, we're also playing Kahira, which is kind of cool. So obviously, part of the companion part is you have to have all your creatures have to be cats, elementals, nightmares, dinosaurs, or beasts, which is very important on that. So we have one Kahira as our companion in the sideboard. And speaking of sideboards, let's go ahead and hop into that. But I'm forgetting all of a sudden we got to talk about our lands real quick. So the land base is really simple though, because we are mono green. We're playing 3 Cavernous Souls because guess what? We're a beast deck. We can play Cavernous Souls, which is sweet. It's kind of like a green aggro deck that also can take advantage of Cavernous Souls. We're also playing 3 copies of Lair of the Hydra and 2 Mutavaults as some really good man lands. We have some extra mana lying around. We can animate our lands and get in some more damage. And then rounding out our lands, we're playing 1 Boseiju and 15 forests. So the spicy basic land of the day. I don't think I've ever featured this forest before, but we had to play this forest. It's from M21, the same set as Garruk. All the basic lands in this set had like this really cool texturing to them. And when I think of Garruk forests, this is the first one that I think of, because this is pretty much Garruk's forest for the most part. Not even just like the land itself, but like the artwork, like Garruk definitely hangs out in this forest for sure. Garruk's horde running around, like this is definitely Garruk's forest here. So that takes us to the end of the lands here. Let's go and hop into the sideboard here. So the sideboard is really simple because we are mono green. We're going to want some Graveyard Hate. I recommend Tormod's Crypt, Grafdigger's Cage, or Scavenging Ooze. I think those are all fantastic options, but just keep in mind though with Scavenging Ooze, you can't play Kahira if you have the Scavenging Ooze, so I personally wouldn't recommend it. We're going to want some protection spells. I personally would recommend Tyvar's Stand. I think that card is sweet. It's also a pump spell, which again works really well with Garruk Unleashed. If you're looking for like board wipe protection, I would personally recommend Heroic Intervention, or I think it's called Smuggler's Cove. It's the new spree card from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. I think those are both fantastic options. We're going to want some extra removal as well. We are mono green, so it is somewhat limited, but you could play like Tail Swipe for the instant speed. You could also play Bouncer's Beatdown. I think those are both fantastic options. We're also going to want some Vampire Hate. Personally, either play Pithing Needle, or what I would personally play is Pick Your Poison. I feel like I talk about it in every green sideboard now. That card is absolutely incredible. For our opponents playing Leyline Binding, boom, make them sacrifice it. For our opponents playing Vampires with Vein Rippers, boom, make them sacrifice it. Playing Artifacts, boom, make them sacrifice it. Pick Your Poison is absolutely incredible. If you don't have any copies of those, I highly suggest picking some up as soon as possible. The card is seeing play pretty much in every format because it's definitely very good. And the last thing we have to talk about is the budget options, which we are a mono green deck, but our deck, it's not like super pricey. It's really just, the cost isn't a few cards for the most part, but you could definitely trim the utility lands. Really, you could just play a bunch of basic forests. I believe in the budget list, which the budget list is in the description as well with the regular deck if you want to check it out. I think in the budget list, I'm just playing like Hash Poesis, maybe Lair of the Hydra, and a bunch of forests. I'm not playing the Boseiju, the Caverns, or the Mutavaults, or anything like that. I would also swap out Elder Garruk. For a playset, it is $60 US as of the recording of this video. Personally, I would recommend substituting it with Uvenwald Oddity. I think that would be the best option, at least, in terms of a good beast, but, that's still good, but definitely better for our wallet. You could also trim the Questing Beasts. They are $6 US a piece. I believe for my substitute, I did Bloated Contaminator. I really like that card, and I wanted to put it into the non-budget list, but I really didn't want to trim anything else. But at this point I'm kind of rambling on about the budget list. You can easily get beasts under $50. I know the budget list I think came out around 44, I want to say, which is really, really cheap. But the current list is $275, which really isn't that crazy. Once you take out like the Cavernous Souls, the Besagus, the Mutavaults, and the Elder Garrots, the rest of the deck is extremely cheap. So, you know, if you're looking to build this deck, but you don't want to, you know, buy it all at the same time, just save like the Cavernous Souls for last. Like, you know, it's not 100% necessary for the deck. I mean, heck, if no one in your local metagame is playing like any counter spells, you really don't even need the Cavernous Souls in general. You can just play Haship Oasis or just more forests or something like that. So, but I really, really do like this deck. Huge shout out to Gary. I think this deck is just absolutely sweet. I mean, it's a sweet deck, you know, it's very flavorful, but, you know, finding that right balance of, you know, a powerful deck, or at least a strong, you know, F&M level deck, or a deck you can play with friends, but also very flavorful is tricky. And I think we kind of found the right balance for that. So that takes us to the end of the video here. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section below, what do you think about the deck? Is there any cards that I should have included that I did not? Just let me know in the comment section. And huge shout out to our channel members, Ralph, Matt, and Arcadius. If you are interested in being a channel member, it is only $1 US a month. You get access to the exclusive Discord as well as other features here on the channel. So I'm Commander Crane. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.